I'd like to welcome everyone tuning into this episode. Many of you now listening likely enjoy a measure of personal freedom and liberty in your own lives that the following speaker you're about to hear from does not. I don't say this to make anyone feel guilty, but to offer a reminder that we're very fortunate to have a certain agency and safety in our lives that our upcoming guest and everyone else in Myanmar these days can only dream of. So after you hear their story, please consider how you can use your freedom to support or advocate on behalf of the Burmese people. Any action, no matter how small, counts. Now, let's hear what they have to say. I'm here speaking to Thurain. He is coming to us from Yangon, and we are going to check in with him and find out what he's been up to these past couple months and what thoughts and reflections he has. So, Thurain, thank you for joining us and welcome to Insight Myanmar podcast.
Thank you, giving me the chance to talk with you.
Yeah, sure. So before we get into what's going on now and what you've been up to recently, I want to learn a little bit about yourself. So, can you take us back and tell us a little bit about your upbringing, your family life, your background, so we get a little more idea about who you are?
Uh, Basically, I was working in the NGO sector as a consultant and freelance. And after that, established my business. I have like three different businesses. So they transform into like a fully online within during COVID-19. Now it's almost gone. Then started from 1st February. We basically trying to do everything we that we can because we feel that this is the last fight for the decade. If we must win and we have so many opportunity to win, and we can also see the unity of people from the different sides.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll get into all of that. I want to talk a little bit about before February 1st, before we do. As far as you're comfortable in sharing, and please don't reveal anything that puts you or people next to you at risk, can you tell us a bit about the businesses that you were doing before February 1st?
Basically, I was doing three different businesses. The first one is actually interpretation services and translation interpretations that I have been working over 5 years now, like 6 years. And after that, I was working as consulting businesses, basically for corporate projects and other SME projects. Basically, we are especially we focus on corporate projects. And then this is the second job. And the third business is like company, like software development and things like that. Now we are now developing games. So we also produce the games, different type of games. Yeah,
I see. So you were doing 3 jobs at once. You were developing games and software, you were doing translation, and you were a corporate consultant. Is that correct?
yeah.
So you were keeping busy.
Trying to be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So are you from Yangon originally?
No, actually, I was born in Gaya and grew up in Kachin, and I came down here in Yangon basically to study abroad. I got a scholarship, and yeah, then when I came down for the more opportunity for study and business, now I live in Yangon.
I see, right. So it sounds like you've kind of lived all over the country.
Exactly, yeah. I have to travel. I have to travel a lot around the country because of my job.
Uh-huh, right. So what in your experiences in growing up in one area of the country, studying in another area, maybe having family elsewhere, and then coming to live and work in the big city, what's your observations? What have your experiences been like seeing these different parts of Myanmar that maybe other Burmese haven't had the same experiences you've had in being able to explore the country? What kinds of perspectives and insights have you had being able to travel around and be among different communities?
Yeah, what I can say is like people is people. They all are people, and then the my life experience is a little bit different from other people because I was born in the conflict zone near time border, and also it was intense when I was young, and I grew up in Kachin again, conflict again, 2010 to 2013, 14 again, intensive like conflict again. And now here in Yangon living, the first, this is the very first time, and after 1990, people didn't really understand why ethnic people holding, weapons to defend themselves. Now the whole general public in Myanmar, especially the middle part, they now understand and they can feel deep empathy. Now they can feel why other peoples are feeling that way. So this is the very very like enormous and significant time and opportunity that people, the whole country, without region, without color, without religions, none of that can prevent us to be united.
Right, right. So you grew up in Chaos State on the Thai border, is that correct?
Yeah, my father is Rakhine and my mom is Shan. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a Rakhine Shan Gaya Kachin. Yeah, like
Did your family grow up Buddhist?
traditionally, yeah.
Right. And what shape did your own Buddhist practice or beliefs take on?
To be honest, actually, I can only believe that meditation, and we also say that how to say vipassana. This is the only thing I believe and practice. Others I don't really believe because that I cannot really practice like a kind of spiritual belief or something like that. But I do believe and practice meditation and vipassana. That's the only thing. Yeah.
And I know in Myanmar, there's many different types of Vipassana and traditions. And in fact, the entire mindfulness movement that has developed in the West largely comes from 19th and 20th century Burmese lineages. So, what type of Vipassana do you practice and what tradition do you follow?
Uh, Basically, almost nothing. Yeah. but but I can say that I really appreciate that, and also I always respect other people behavior and also belief. I'm not saying that they are not good. They also because all the traditions and also the religions and they are meant to be good. To be safe and to be secure and also to have kind of belief. When they are in the struggle. So I do appreciate that, but I also have my own personal thoughts on that.
Right. And you said the one thing you really respect about Burmese Buddhist tradition is Vipassana practice. And what is it about Vipassana meditation practice that you hold so sacred?
Basically, that basically the only thing I do is like meditation is is a kind of practical. It's peaceful and you can concentrate and you can be productive and also mentally and physically. Then that can relieve your pains and everything. Like especially you are in the struggle, and it helps you to focus. So this is I like it a lot, and also it brings me peaceful moment.
Right. Are you able to maintain any kind of practice even through these difficult days in the last couple months?
Honestly, I didn't practice for a long time, but in between, especially when I do this, when I am depressed, and also now I'm not depressed anymore. I'm pretty motivated. So I try when I'm trying to focus and I do this. Now I already have enough focus to do things. So
Right, right. You mentioned how when you grew up in Kaya and Kachin State that you personally experienced a bit of conflict in those ethnic areas. And as far as you're comfortable in sharing, I don't want to invite or bring back trauma that you may have experienced then by sharing now. But as far as you're comfortable in educating us on what life was like in those areas and what you experienced in your childhood, what can you tell us?
basically, this kind of thing is not the first time for me because I grew up in the mountain region. You know, in the Adana region. Even in middle here in Yangon and the city Mandalay, this when we compare with the Adana region, this is just a minor case. There's so many cruel things has been happening in the past 60 years, 50, 60 years. And also, when I was a university student, I was there in Mijina in Kitchen State. I was volunteering in the one of the biggest IDP camp around Mijina. We call it, I forgot the name. uh, that can have like 4 or 5 thousand people there, and we volunteer there, and we try to teach the student to have a continuous education, even though we can. I am not. I cannot speak Chin even though, but we try to teach English and mathematics, those kind of things. Even when I was volunteering, at the camp, and bullets are flying. It is not far. It is not so far from Nichina, which is capital city of Kachin State. This is not the very first things. For me, because basically even people living in the Athens area, this is not the first time for them. They've been generations or already suffer for that. Even senior generations, and now our generation, and now again our. If we don't win, our younger generation will feel again. So that's why we have to win this fight, and we have hope and opportunities.
Right. So you were in Keian, Kachin. You were raised in one place and educated and worked a bit in the other. And then when you came to Yangon initially, what did you experience there? Did you have any kind of culture shock? What was the differences at that time of living in Yangon compared to the two previous environments?
There are so many funny stories because I didn't know how to take baths. I didn't know how to order breakfast. And there were so many. I'm a rural guy, so then when I see that tall building, let's say that the apartments high, so then and also brick buildings are modernized. Because I didn't, I'm a rural guy, and I didn't have any exposure to go abroad. So when I came to Yangon was the very first time that there are so many things. Oh wow, this is Yangon. Then I got here. I thought it is New York. There's so many funny stories out there.
Right. So it was really quite a difference in being in the big city. And did you encounter or feel any difference as well in terms of coming from a place where it was a conflict zone and people were scared and there was a bit of tension into Yangon, which at that time was probably relatively peaceful?
So I got a scholarship, and I got a scholarship. I studied in Yangon first. This now I got a Ghana scholarship. This is the third scholarship I got. Yeah. So then I go study. Yeah.
Right, and did you feel any difference in because you were raised in these 2 areas where there was much more conflict and tension and the military was there, and then in Yangon, there wasn't, before a couple months when you arrived, there wasn't much. It was kind of a normal functioning life, so did that experience feel different for you?
So the different feeling is, in Yangon, every door locked. You know, in our hometown, let's say in China, the door always open. Only at night, then they lock the door and they sleep. Even the majority of the. But in Yangon, every apartment they lock the key. You know, So it was not normal for me. That I thought, and also people are not friendly. This is urban culture. Now I got used to it. I became one of them.
In what ways did you find certain kinds of warmth or friendliness in Ka and Kachin that you weren't experiencing in Yangon, more specifically?
Yeah, basically, when we especially social life, and also the people, they don't really, how to say, com- uh, they don't really greet strangers. For me, if I compare with my native town, and also the another one is I feel so strange that because in Kitchen State we don't say Mingalaba all the time, you know. That when we hear everyone say Mingalaba, oh, what the hell is it? And people see that we are rude because we don't say Mingalaba, and okay, let's say. Then now I got used to it that Mingalaba all the time when we greet that.
So different cultures and culture shock even in the country.
And also food as well. Yeah,
How so?
yeah. Basically, we call it shan noodle, but they don't call it shan noodle. I after like it's almost a month that it's almost a month that I couldn't have my usual breakfast.
Mm. What's your
Yeah,
usual breakfast?
right. Basically, usual breakfast is the that we call it shan noodle. Yeah, in Yangon it is different name. That is it is actually it is Chinese noodle because in kitchen state the Chinese noodle is dominant and yeah, it tastes good.
And you couldn't get that in Yangon?
Actually, the way they do is different. If I want to have it now, I know some places, so that I go there because now the in Yangon the way they make it, the noodle is different. So if I want to have that taste, then I have to go somewhere and eat that, double or triple.
Mm. Right, I
This kind of.
see. So you were in Yangon right when all these really exciting reforms were taking place in the 2010s, and there were greater freedoms, there were greater opportunity, there was greater possibility. You definitely took advantage of that through your education, through your scholarship, through your business that you set up. So can you tell us what it was like, and tell our listeners who aren't so familiar with the country or the changes taking place, what was it like to live in the city as these reforms and greater personal freedoms were coming about?
The only one thing, the first thing, very positive thing, and also significant thing is freedom, freedom of speech. We I was active in the nonprofit, and I was working in nonprofit area, and then handling the different projects, and I established our own foundation as well in the past. So when we were in that 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, the point is until 2013 I was not in Yangon and I was in Kachin. But in Kachin, even though there was like democratization process started, but in Kachin state there was intensive, you know the conflict there. People are dying in Kachin state. But when I came here in Yangon, it is it started to open up, and also people can have a very open conversation about the political stuff and also the other things. There are people who are very positive for the future as well. This is the then I when I came back here, when I came down to Yangon.
Mhm. Right, and then as the years progressed and you got more into business and scholarship and probably friends and such, what was it like living through society as it was continuing to open up and modernize and become a bit more sophisticated?
The people are very hopeful. Now the way the military this is killing the future. So we are very hopeful because our country is you know, brighter day by day. And we really hope that one day we will be like Singapore, we will be Switzerland, those kind of things we imagine. And also the basically every day, yeah. For example, I'm not afraid of COVID as a business owner because I try to look for the ways and we did overcome. We got do and have time growth at the end of 2020. You know, this is the way we try to overcome the pandemic. But this time is killing the futures, and also this only if we win that we can have hope. And yeah, this we were grateful and we already positive. Whatever struggle we face, we were positive and we try to look forward, and as long as our political landscape is a democratic way. I don't care which party actually gonna win the election, but what I care is that democratic process, democratic way is important. Our country need to be on that way because I'm not a member of, NLD. I'm not a member of any party, but what I only do care is the democratic way. So this is the only hope we have.
So leading to February 1st, you had these three simultaneous businesses you were running. Sounds like things were going well. You'd come from a small rural part of the country and made it in the big city, made it threefold in the big city, actually. And even through COVID, when COVID started to hit, were your businesses okay? Was your work still managing? Because I know COVID was hard for a lot of business owners.
Yeah, basically like COVID hit in March basically 2020. So from March and April, we did nothing. We stopped all the operations stopped, and we're trying to uh, basically we're trying to study from the cases from the other country in the region and also westerns, and we're trying to learn what kind of pattern we're gonna face, what kind of degree and what kind of industry we are in. Because I'm a business consultant, I can well analyze my business as well. So so this is the kind of thing we're trying to look for those kind of data research and fact and figure. Then we're trying to make a very agile business model, and we're trying to chain everything that we have. Then we're trying to transform fully online. Now now it's crap.
Right. And your business was also doing okay during the year of COVID?
For the first the first quarter was okay because before COVID-19. The second quarter was really bad, no income at all. And the third quarter is a little bit okay, and the fourth quarter is again is full engine to go forward.
So things were going well.
Yeah.
Then everything changes on February 1st. And what was your reaction and feeling when you woke up February 1st in the morning? How did you learn about what happened and what was your response?
There are only one word. No is no future. You see, because I can say I'm still a young person. When before that day, we already suffer COVID-19 pandemic, and also the 21st January, even at night, Sunday night, the whole team was working so hard. My corporate business officer, she trying to email as much as she can until 11 p.m. And our team, our like executive team, had a meeting until 12:30. We just finished our 6 month plan to hit the target, the financial, social, things like that, to target, and we just finished detailed plan for every aspect of our business that night. And tomorrow night, cook took place. Then you can feel how bad it is.
Right. So walk us through that first week of your reaction when you learned that this happened. And there was obviously shock. You were up late the night before with your business. So your mind was obviously in a completely different area and zone. And when you were spending that first week or two kind of adjusting to the new reality and trying to figure out how to respond to it, what were you thinking? What were you doing?
Hopeless, disappointment, those kind of feeling, and no future. I feel that it's all blackout. We feel that how dare they did that way. It's all about they just kill the futures of the people in Myanmar because people were all positive, energetic. People are trying so hard, working for them and the country. We are so much behind in the region and also globally. We are one of the poorest countries, so we're trying to work so hard. That time, they did such a way of cruel things. This is how I felt.
So it sounds like you were kind of in a depression at that time. Is that right?
Yeah, not only me, everyone, like my friends call me, and we all had the same feeling.
Hmm. Right. So as you were depressed, were you doing things? Were you active? Were you planning, or was it just kind of a time to to work through the depression and almost like a therapy to try to talk and to have conversations and to feel to come out of that despair. What were you actually doing during this time?
You know, we depressed basically. We holy shit, everything's gone, so we feel that way. Then at the same time, we're motivated. We want to do something and we want to fight back, and we are very determined that this must be the last fight. Must be the last fight. Otherwise, you know, we will have to hold our daughter and son hands and protest again when we are getting older. I don't want to let that happen.
So that decision on your part, to want to resist and take some action about the coup that had taken place, did that come about right away after February 1st?
Yeah, sure, sure. So we cannot sleep well, we cannot eat well. Everything when we see that everything is dying, even when we see the green color like you know the green color trees, we are seeing they are dying in our feeling. Everything is dark, and also we want to bring some light in our life, and we want to see the very clear future in our lifetime.
And so what did you do to try to come out of that darkness and despair, and in your words and the metaphor and the imagery that you're painting, to want to bring some light and bring some hope? What were you trying to do towards those
So
ends?
the first thing we go protest. This is the very first thing. The whole brothers and sisters in our home. Then we went on street and we protest. This is the very first thing we did. Then we're trying to consider something, think, and trying to talk with our friends. Okay, we have to do something. We have to do something. Then coming off like CDMs and things like that, strikes, committees, and other thing. I'm trying to do everything I can and as much as possible in every way. I'm trying to support not only me with my friends and colleagues.
Right, and so you were trying to fit in to see where you were able to help, and what in your background, skills were you able to apply to be able to serve this resistance?
Yeah, basically, my personality is not a frontline person. I am my personality and my skill is a kind of like strategic approach and also like coordination, things like that, and motivating people. This is something I'm good at that. So that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to apply those skills when we trying to support this national movement. Yeah,
So that's been kind of the role you've been taking on, is more the strategizing and connecting people and networking, is that true?
yeah, sure.
Right, and how's that been going?
So well, our group is pretty still a small group. However, we have a network at the national level with a different group of people, like from the strike groups, national strike groups, and also from the other groups who are actually getting the training in the KNU area, and also the CDM people that we're trying to help the people that we raise funding, and also we also have trying to link with the CRPH. So this is something that we've been doing. But we are a small group, but this is something we've been doing.
So with your small group, you've been coordinating the different team members and also reaching out to groups in other areas or like a national network. Is that how it's been going?
They're basically like now first that we're trying to support the gears and also shield and also like medical support. So we basically our friends raise funding and also that we're trying to contact with those people on ground as much as we can. This is something we've been and basically I have been involving in like 3 or 4 groups actually. For example, one is to support the strike people like at the front line and go protest. We're trying to do something for. We're trying to support that. This is one group. Another group is a CDM. There are two types of CDM. One is normal government officer, civil servant. Other type is soldier and police. They are pretty much like they it's more intense actually to work for them. So this is another group. Two different groups. Another one is like we're trying to closely work with the people who get the training from in the KNU area. This is something I've been doing with these friends. Yeah. So basically for CDMs, we basically trying to help around to 300 people, over 300 people. And now we got more and more people, so it's already over 500, 500 people. So this is for CDMs. Yeah, yeah.
Is there certain departments you're working with in CDM?
Uh, Basically, like according to my job, I have a close relationship with the government department uh, in Naypyidaw. So for some department, I got like the whole department list. For some department, I got some kind of like regional colleagues, and they trying to ask me so then. And also I'm trying to approach them, so that I got. So it is pretty much from the throughout the country and different. It covers various departments as well.
So it sounds like you have some kind of contact list and you're making cold calls to the people that are on that list that are still going to the office that you might not know personally or even have a mutual friend. And through these cold calls, you're trying to convince them to stop going to the office and join CDM. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically, like people in my list, either they're they people have different background. People have different background. For example, some people are very determined, and from the very beginning, they officially announce in their social media accounts and friends they are CDM. This is one type of person, very determined person. People. Another type of the people is they still thinking whether they should take that risk because being the civil servant they are not risk taker. We have to understand their personality, right? So they try to consider whether they should take that risk, whether it's wrong or right. This is their life. So then later on when they see brutal act, the violence by the soldiers, police, then they become a CDMers. Another type of people is you know they want to help, but they want to be inside the department to bring the kind of confidential news and announcements order. They are also those type of people there. Another type is they will never be in they will never involve in CDM movement because normally those kind of people are corrupt. You know they get money under table and they cannot stop doing those kind of things. So those kind of people will never join CDM. So we really we what I understand what I according to my point is we have to understand the behavior and personality of their them, and also we support them.
So it sounds like you're having to talk to all these different types of civil servants, and depending on what their background is, the conversation would go in different ways. And I imagine that with some of them, you're establishing these ongoing relationships where you're not just talking one time, but you're talking over a period of days or weeks or more as this drags on.
People are stressful, especially CDMs, because they are not risk taker normally. If they are risk taker, they will become entrepreneur. Very simple. Just my personal opinion. So they're very stressful. I always have communication with them. I'm trying to keep in touch with them. Always like 2 or 3 days. I try to call and my team trying to call them whether it's okay, what's going on. And also we even became a kind of sort of like families because in between we build up the relationship with them. And we're trying to ask them whatever it takes, what kind of things they need, and we're trying to support as much as we can.
I imagine those conversations must take turns of being sometimes quite intimate, sometimes quite tense. They must really go through a roller coaster of emotions and relations as you're having those conversations.
Yeah, basically, even in this morning, I just had a conversation with one of the CDM leader. Yeah,
And how was that?
they are frightened. Basically they worry. They will be dismissed very soon in this month, and also they are thinking what to do, and they are asking some reason to keep doing that because on the ground things are very getting worse. So we have to take action politically, and CRPH and ethnic groups they really have to take actions, something very strong because world level administration that the military trying to control the world level administration because currently it is empty, right? There's no world level administration. If and also the CDM they are actually hiding somewhere. They think it is safe, but if it is world level administration is happening, then it's very difficult. So they worry. They are worried, and they are asking where to go. And also the one of the family, the CDM family, I got in touch with that. They have 5 members of family. They have to move around. Imagine they are young children, and one is just only 2 or 3 years old. It's too young, and they have to move around the whole family. They cannot bring anything. They just have some. Even they don't have money to for that, and they request you. They request us. Can you please arrange something like for bus or something? This is for 5 people. Even bus is not cheap for them because for five people it is expensive. But they have to go around. They don't think they're safe. So it is the people. Everyone has their own, how to say, um, more or less they have ego, right? They don't want to bad people. Even they are in terrible stage financially. So sometimes they don't want to open up to ask help, but finally they ask help, and we're trying to support that. One I see is it's terrible to see those. There's so many people and CDM they are not safe, and also police and military, they are you know they are investigating everywhere. Um, they act like they are CDMers are being treated as if criminal. It's so bad, and indeed it's something I feel very 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 emotional when I have the conversation. And at least what we can do is like we're trying to connect with the local business network and college and to support them in their region. And so that this is something we're trying to provide. We There's so many people like us, group. There some are big enough, some are small like us. So this is very emotional to see this time that we also trying to do our best to overcome this. They are somehow, families are in a very 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 bad condition. Not only CDMers, but also the villagers in Kachin and Karen as well in Rakhine. The whole village burned down, being burned down. This is very very tough for the family.
Right. So you're painting this picture of these civil servants that are, by definition, are not really risk takers, that want to be in a comfortable, padded position that, presumably for life, to be able to be taken care of. And now these types of people find themselves at the very center and heart of a movement about whether or not the coup will succeed. So they're having to find some kind of inner strength to be able to step away even while they're being hunted, while they might have families, while their physical safety and their family's physical safety is in jeopardy, and they're having to take these great risks, people who you have said are not inherently risk takers for the position they found themselves. So you must really see and encounter some true acts of like selfless heroism and courage from people who maybe haven't really stepped into that role before, I would imagine.
In the past decade, 10 years, we already enjoy our freedom. We already enjoy our potential. We see our future of the country, and our futures are brighter. It's been killed in the last 2 months. Hey, can you imagine that basically people are feeling grateful and brighter and better life for their future and the dignity of their life? And it's been destroyed, it's been stolen. This is how they feel. For example, in the government apart, this is departments, they can also feel that way. They become they got to get in touch with international organization and support. They never got those in the past government, military government, and they got the international organization and they got communication, they got chances. They never got those things and support in the past military government. So basically, they enjoy the freedom of speech and greater dignity of life. Now they don't want to go back. They don't want to give that to their children. They want to, you know, give the children with a brighter futures and greater dignity. We don't want to bat the, you know, um, I once grew up in the military government when I was young. We have to pray whenever military officer can, you know, and everyone have to afraid of them. Everyone. You know how the people respond? They I still remember have a clear picture when I was young. It is very different decade we passed the last 10 years, different decade, and we enjoyed and we love it. We got we want to get it more. You know, can you imagine it? What we got was just a few little things when we compare with other country. A few little things we got. We got a little sunlight in the past 10 years. Not like other country. Other country they got, you know, in Europe and even look at the other same country. We got just a few, but we enjoy a lot. We want to get it more in the future, but it's been stolen.
And you did a lot with that little bit of sunlight. You only had it for a few years and it wasn't in full form, but people made the most of it.
Yeah, trying to.
Right. So going back to CDM, how do you regard the importance of CDM in the overall movement?
Now, this point is very critical. Now, this is very critical. In the past 2 months, I love it. I was doing everything I can at my team as well, my friends. We're trying to do everything we can. You know, we receive the call even in the middle of night, early morning, the whole day. It doesn't matter. Everything we can do. Then I love the spirits of people. People are so very determined, and also CDM people as well. But what we have to understand is they have their different background, and of course, like everyone, we really have to do something now. It's a very critical on ground. This is getting more and more difficult now. Even our friends are dying. I already lost two friends in our group.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They got they got arrested and they killed. They were being killed by police at the police station
How were they arrested?
at night. You know, you already know that
At night, they came to their homes?
the basically one person was shot down on street in near his home, and also brought him to the police station, and they got all the list of our team, and we have to move move around. Then then you know he then he was killed.
I'm so sorry.
What I'm trying to say is now time is very critical. We are about to have a civil war again.
Right, I just can't imagine how a society has changed the way yours has in 2 months. It kind of reminds me of these movies or TV series that have some kind of apocalyptic event of, zombies or, a meteor or something like that, and people are just living their ordinary lives one day and all going about their professions, and then afterwards, everyone has completely reinvented themselves to be able to do whatever they can to keep the hope of freedom alive, and it must feel in some ways like a long lost memory of who you were before February 1st. What has the process been like to change from being a businessman or a teacher or a delivery driver or a salesman or whatever these people were in just normal society, and to change from that kind of boring routine job in and out to the situation now where everything is broken down and everyone is having to completely take on new jobs and roles and skills and everything else. What has that transformation been like?
Hope. They don't want to lose hope for the future. A hope that can cover the whole mindset of the people in Myanmar. They want to keep alive their hope. That's why they are doing everything we can. I can. I'm also one of them. My friends are also one of them. We are still keeping our hope, and we will keep our hope for sure. We will do everything we can from our experience and specialties, what we have learned.
So, however, you need to transform yourself, whatever role you need to take on, regardless of whether it's been something done in the past, regardless of whatever the past was, that is something that everyone feels committed to do based on this ideal of hope that's being held on to.
Yeah, basically, the people don't want to pass the next generation with these horrible things. We want to stop. We don't want to see anymore in the future. We don't want to see anymore.
So, in these past 2 months, as different organizational structures have had to come on, different networks, different roles and leaders, no one was really prepared for any of this. Everyone was just living their normal lives, and everyone has just had to quickly adjust and fit into what was needed. And these new roles and networks and everything have to be formed. So as they're being formed kind of on the fly, kind of happening just as it goes and under the best that one can do under these circumstances, how does this actually happen? How do people figure out who makes decisions, what decisions are followed, what people do together, which action they should do? Is there some kind of leadership? Is there some kind of council? Or is this done in a bigger level, or are there many different smaller units that are operating? But how has this come to be set up?
It's all about basically discussion based on the discussion what we when we're trying to do something. For example, people were angry at first and they're trying to do something. They feel painful, and that's why they for example, like me, I'm trying to have the conversation with my friends. Okay, what we're gonna do now? The first thing I did and my friend did was one on street and protest. This is the first thing we did. A couple of days. Then we're trying to donate something on street. After that, we got CRPH. So we're trying to support CRPH. We're trying to look for then CDM. Then doctors, they start medical professional, they start the CDM. Then we're trying to support CDM. And the patterns are changing, developing things. This is this is the way we transform. Which when we try to look for something that we can support, then we follow something. Then we're trying to fit in that way. We're trying to fit in and we're trying to support in an effective way. We understand that this time we have only one common enemy, which is dictatorship. Only one common enemy. In Myanmar is pretty divisive. In the past, we have kind of how to say we Kachin say, okay, our Kachin is great. Burma say our Burma is great. Shan, they say that way. But now it disappeared because people in general and also in middle part of Myanmar in the lowland, they understand how the ethnic people feel in their life. So we are now united, and also religions. They're trying to help each other and the people as well. There's one incident. It is lovely, and one of my friends from Kachin. She is Christian. One day in Yangon in Sanjiao, she went protest on street, and and for she didn't expect basically actually one old lady gave it to her, and she requested, daughter, can you give this thing to protester, because this can prevent kind of thing, kind of religious, your spiritual belief, kind of those kind of a small thing to hold on. If we Some people believe that if we hold something like that, just a few little things, the very traditional things, then it is actually one of the Buddhism belief. Then that grandmom gave that young lady, like one of my friends, and she's Christian, but she was happy to do that way, even though it is different cultures and different way.
Yeah, and as these groups come together, as different people start to work together, even among this unity, I'm sure there are people with very different ideas of what to do and how to do it, when to do it, who should have it done, how it should be implemented. So, how are decisions reached and agreed upon?
It's all about teamwork. It's all about teamwork. It's all about and also based on your expertise as well. So what you are good at it. For example, I have some certain skills and expertise. Then okay, I will say I can take this part. Then I'm gonna do that way. Then it's all about, in Myanmar now very popular word is collective leadership.
Mhm. And what does that mean?
It means that we don't really depend on one person. We depend on the group discussion and group capability. It doesn't mean that, like, for example, if you were arrested, if you're a leader, if you're arrested, everything's gone. So we don't want to let it happen. So what we do is we have our members. They have their own rules, and also, of course, actually, well, they are based on their commitment. Some people they became one of the higher level trust, one of the highest trust level, for example. So somehow there's some certain leaders I can say in reality. However, it's really come up from the commitment and also the mm, of course, like we don't say that as a leader, but we say it as a leadership, and also we also say that people, everyone, they have their own leadership and they have their own role, which is important. We acknowledge this and we work together. So everything is really based on the team decisions and team capability. We don't really depend on the one person decision.
Mhm. Right, I see. But one concern is that as you're going about having these group discussions and engaging in different ideas of what to do, which sounds really wonderful. It's a great critical exercise in democracy. As you're having those discussions and you're including other people in them, the concern comes in about spies or informers. So, how real is that concern, and how do you manage the process of how information is shared and who it's shared with?
Basically, it is very confidential. So when we share information, I can say, especially for operation, my friends, they don't know my location. Very simple. They and some certain friends they don't even know my name, my real name. So when we operate the operation, we, for example, for CDM, we work for the police and soldier military CDM. So what there are different level. If I got alerts, actually I don't know the all the information of my group. For example, there is a police on ground. This is something we've been doing on ground. Then we got the information that there like a group of police want to be CDMers. So they want to get involved in CDM. So then we got the information. I got the information. So I pass it to another person who is in the local network. He's in certain town, so there's a network in a certain town. I pass it that information to the network facilitator, and she trying to arrange that with the that police, but we don't directly talk with the police. We talk with the family members. It is the safest way. Family member in another town, not in the same town. So we talk with the family member, then family member they arrange at the time, and another person went and pick up, go to the another place that I don't know, and I also don't know who pick up. I also don't know where they are, but they only one or two people know that, and also that she also doesn't know that where I am and my real name. But the way we work is. we trying to like we don't tell our real information, but our personal information, but we tell the exactly that things, and it figure out that basically it still work so far.
Right. So it's been like a need to know basis so that you're limiting access to information.
Yeah, basically, if somebody got errors, then we don't get the information. But still, yeah.
Right. So you mentioned a bit about defection among police and military and CDM there. And I think that's something that our listeners would be really interested in knowing more about. I know that in the first month of the protest, there were some kind of really powerful and inspiring stories of police officers mainly. I don't know too many cases of soldiers, but certainly different police functionaries in different parts of the country that were publicly stepping down and giving speeches and interviews and making a big stand that they would not serve the military administration. I haven't really heard a lot about defection or CDM much in the past month. So what's been going on with that recently?
So basically, they are the most difficult people to go out. Now I got 10, the list of 10 people, 10 policemen and officers. They cannot come and join the CDM. They cannot even go out the station basically. The uh, military, they took ID, NRC cards and also forms and everything they took, many as well. So how can they basically join sort of some places? So they have very intense security rules actually, and also police are being split up into the different group like, and also in a group, when you see the police group like three or four of 20 or 30 people, the real police is just only like around maybe around maximum 10 people. There are others are soldiers, they are wearing police uniform. But I can say what I can say is that like the police are not very decisive. I can say honestly, there are people, they are police, they are police, they join. What I can say is at least 70 policemen, they don't like military. Because there are reason that because like in Myanmar, all the senior level administration, all the senior position were taken by police. The people from the military. This is very simple. Since the democratic transition, blah 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 is happening, they already put their man in the top position and even a middle position, township level officer, strict level or like district level officer, like and also regional state level officers. They all are actually from military, and also they don't know what they are doing because police they have their law, they have to obey laws, things like that, and they don't know what they are doing, especially the military officials. That's why they hate that. And also like we especially I have we have team of police in their office, and we got information and orders, and we have people in their station.
People that are still working.
Yeah, still working.
So you estimate that 70% of police are not happy with their work and would like to step down. What percent approximately have actually joined CDM from the police?
It's really based on the region because I don't have a real data for that. What I have is very few of them. So if I compare, as long as I know, for example, Chin and Cayenne, a majority of the police they join CDM basically in Chin State and no sorry Gaya State, and so they most of them join. I don't really know that. I don't have that data, but the percentage is pretty low, relatively low.
Right. And why do you think that is? Is one of the reasons is that it's hard to get access to them to be able to have those conversations, or is it something else?
You know, for me, what I can say is they are not decisive. What I can say is, and also police departments is one of the most corrupt department. Up, the corrupt. So that's why the corrupt people they don't want to lose their job because they are getting money not from their salary, from their authority. I have very close friends in police and also the military. So I know what they are doing basically, and also they are people. If they're getting money from the illegal business, you got kind of like portion from the illegal business. This is that became your business, even though you're police.
Right. So this is looking at the police side. The military side is even more difficult to look at defections. There have been very, very few defections there. What has been your experience in trying to work in within the military of talking to personnel and soldiers and trying to encourage defections there?
Yeah, basically they are people. They are people who did join CDMs and soldiers and police as well. And they're also people. We are trying to design our own drone, and also that is basically held by the drone department of military who got CDM. So they are people. When you look at the result of the election, you know the soldiers, they did voted for NLD a lot. This is something we can easily see. But the problem is they are in control, and also they are out of information. What I'm thinking is like military. They trying to cut the internet. I I think there are some reason. Of course, they trying to control their protests. Another reason is they trying to cut the information from the real world to their soldiers. Soldiers are confused. When they cut the information, they don't get information at all from the real world. So then they can uh, put them propaganda and make them believe those kind of things. This is something I believe.
So, what will it take to bring about more defections from military and from soldiers?
It's one of the most difficult questions actually, because like
Are you hopeful?
I'm still hopeful basically. I'm still hopeful, but a few percentage. Because like from the engineering department, a medical department, for example, military doctors, they don't want to work. Majority of them, they don't want to work now at the military. They want to resign, but they are not allowed now, especially now. So this is one of the real information.
So, what will it take to encourage those soldiers to act on their dissatisfaction and actually step down?
They are basically um, being controlled and being, yeah, for example, last month I heard the news from my team that one of the military the hospital from Mingladon Township. So there are two military officials. They trying to be CDMers, but they were being brought to Nepido by the other, guards, the people. So then the military, they don't want their people to join the military, so they're trying to bring them to Nepido. But on the way to Nepido, they disappear. Very simple. So this, and also the one of the news now got from the now this is very popular in on social media and also the different news or agencies. So the military uh, soldiers and also officer from the southern part. So they are also like they just leave their boat made they are from Navy SEAL, the Navy department. But they also want CDM, yeah, like kind of this week or last week, yeah. But they are soldiers. I believe they are soldiers, but they are being controlled. They are being controlled so tightly. So this is something I believe.
Right. So I imagine in these conversations that you have encouraging CDM, whether it's military police or whether it's just normal civil servants and office workers, a big part of the discussion is how they can be protected, for their personal safety and their family, as well as how they're possibly going to survive for however long this takes, because they won't have any income, obviously. And many of them live in government housing, and they won't want to be home anyway for fear of their safety. So, a big part of your ability to support CDM is what you're able to provide in terms of resources. And how has that been going? Or do you have sufficient resources to be able uh, to support and work with people who want to leave their position but need to be supported to do so?
Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the information from ground. I'm trying to coordinate with, for example, me. I am mostly handling data from the ground, and there are a couple of people like group. They're trying to raise funding and also trying to support. Though I'm trying to ask them, I have these people. They need help. Can you help us? So do they help us? So I have like friends who are like raising fundings as well. So what I do is basically I try to facilitate those networks for like help and needs. So this is something we've been doing. So what I if I answer your question, we don't have a like sophisticated resources, but what we're trying to do is uh, we're trying to do everything with what we have.
So, are you getting more of that support from within or from outside the country?
Yeah, both. That we got more and more support now.
Great. And we should also mention for listeners that those that are hearing you and that want to support your effort, that there is a way that they can give donation that would go towards your fund and towards the purpose of encouraging people to be able to join CDM and have whatever minimal resources their family needed to be safe while this continued. So, for those that are so moved, there is a way to be able to support you directly and the great work that you're doing. All right, I want to go on to another topic, which you mentioned a bit earlier in our conversation, where you were talking about the evolution of this protest movement and the different activities that you guys were doing and talking about and planning and taking shape. And one of the things that you mentioned that I want to return to is this training that is now taking place in some of the jungle ethnic regions where there's these crash 7-10 day courses where people are learning basic techniques or strategies. Can you share more about what that is, only insofar as it's safe to do so here?
Yeah, we still need to develop a lot because it is only the first batch. My and also my friends are trying to ask the curriculum there and how they are actually providing the training. So what as long as I heard that they already prepared the network and how to recruit people, and that I'm still concerned the strategy how they're gonna do that. This is something I'm still concerned. But of course, this is only the first batch. So for the second batch, we have to prepare a lot and also have to do more and strategically. So and our politically our intention is actually we cannot afford to let military govern at the world level administration. This is very important. So if we let them manage that, then it will be very difficult to do everything now we are doing. So then that and also we will be the we will be supporting CRPH and also the new federal democratic country, and we will take a part of the struggle to become the federal democratic country. Now, CRPH and other ethnic armed group they will take a big move. We are taking a small move, but we will be kind of like um, filling the very small gap, and but that will have a huge impact. That will be stressful for them for military coup to manage the world level administration.
Can you say more about that? Because I think that listeners not familiar with Myanmar society and divisions of different kinds of departments and such would necessarily understand why control at the ward level, at who is operating the different offices and such in the individual wards, why that would be so critical and important at this time. So, can you share why that is a real focus of attention?
In Myanmar, we have pretty different system in the past. One under the military government in the past, before democratic transition. That is, at the ward level administration, you have to register when you sleep somewhere that is not your home. You have to give every your personal detailed information. This is very, very, very critical for safety. Now, police they don't need to show any order from the court to arrest you. They don't have to. They don't need to show. They can take you like chicken, you know, uh, like a little tiny animal, and put you in jail anytime. So your personal safety and your privacy is has gone. Nothing you can do nothing if you have to give that information to them. This is at the ward administration do that did that in the past. Now military coup they try to do that the same, like the past in the history, like when the military government did in the past 50s 60s and before 2010. So they're trying to make that rule again. So they're trying to make that regulation again.
Right. So, what is the connection between the importance of controlling things at a ward level and the training that's currently going on in ethnic areas?
It's not only about training at an area. It's all about the whole movement. People are hiding at somewhere. For example, it can be their friends, it can be their relative, it can be someone stranger who want to help. So if they have to actually register who is staying at their home and give them personal detail information in detail, they can be arrested anytime. And if then also people they cannot go and hide at someone home. So this is one of very very important because CDM people, they are staying at somewhere. Like me, I'm also like I'm not staying at my home. I cannot. If I go back, I will be arrested and killed. Will be killed for sure. I know my team as well. So therefore, I'm saying here that if I have to register my personal information, then I will be arrested next day. Then I yeah. So what? Yeah, another. That's why like people, they are resisting not to register, their personal information at the ward administration level.
And how's that going so far?
The military is now forcing to register people like who sleep in or like who sleep at like, my friends' homes. How many people and getting the personal information? They are forcing to get that because they have to get that because otherwise they will not be able to manage the country, and we cannot let it happen. We cannot afford to do that because that would make us very difficult. So at the word level administration, it have to be empty. It have to be empty before the in terms the government comes in. So CRPH they have to make sure that they can. So whoever can manage to govern at the world level administration is getting game over. It's done. It's done. It is such an important level. All the government stuff, everything's come from the village level, world level, then township level, district level, and national level. That's why the government structures and governance is actually started from the borderline. So that borderline have to be empty now, or the CRPH or CRPH government, new government, will have to take control of that. Whoever can control that level, then they win.
So that's the real division between control and freedom, or terror and safety.
Whoever can control that level, then they win.
Right. So it's this battle within a battle. I'm wondering also how you're doing. I mean, you're under tremendous pressure. You're having to stay away from your home in a place where very few of your friends or family know where you are for safety, and you're having to constantly be on the watch and the lookout and to be ready to leave at a moment's notice, knowing how high the stakes are in terms of your own personal safety. And you've already experienced personal loss of a friend who was tragically killed in terrible, terrible circumstances. I can't even begin to imagine, just on a personal, emotional level, how I would be able to get through a reality like that while simultaneously also engaging in the number of plans and activities that you and so many like you were doing. So, how have you been able to manage this new reality with how terrifying it is?
I'm not saying I'm not terrified. I am terrified too. But this that made me motivated. That made me motivated. We cannot accept this thing happening more. We cannot. We cannot afford to do that. But that's why these terrifying things motivate me to do more and to do everything I can. So that's why me and my friends actually I say my friends, some are just new friends actually with the same spirits, and we met and we talk and we trust each
Hmm.
other. Then that horrified me actually. I cannot sleep at the one. But later I'm trying to calm down because I have to manage, I have to strategize, and I have to advise, I have to give advices. So therefore I have to stay calm.
Hmm. How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you calm down in those circumstances?
you know I have my personal hobby. I love poem. I compose poem, and I love painting, so I paint. In a couple of
Even today?
yeah, even today,
What do you paint?
there are a couple of I love natural, like mountains and trees, and also the sometimes yeah, I draw the like three finger salute and those kind of things. Now I already paint actually 5 or 6 paintings now. And I already wrote some poems or like 3 or 4 poems as well. When I feel stressful, I'm trying to meditate for some time, and I'm trying to paint. For example, last week, it was very stressful, and we were not safe, and I was moving around. As you already know that we make appointments, and and I disappear, but again and again. So I was very stressful. Then I'm trying to meditate. I'm trying to write a poem. I feel everything I write down and poem.
Okay. Well, can you tell us what your poems are about?
It's about motivation. It's about the future. We got a new friends. We can say these are. I have a very close co-workers now, and also that we are hoping we're gonna have a better future. This is only temporary. This is not permanent. We have to believe it. This is permanent. But in order to do so, we have to do everything we can. You can hide, but you cannot stop. You can accept, you can feel sorrow, but you have to motivate it. You can be afraid of this thing, but you cannot afford to lose your hope. So those kind of things, yeah.
Right. So it sounds like the feelings you've had over these past 2 months of sorrow, of loss, of fear, of terror, of anger, of rage, that you're channeling these feelings into motivation for action and getting up and doing something, and that your artwork, your painting, your drawing, your poems are also kind of feeding into this motivation that's needed right now. Is that correct?
Sure. You're one of my, the only thing I have a very, very clear picture of what I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do with my friends after this revolution. And very simple. I want to have some, at the a place, peaceful place with a glass of wine, and when we and or beer, we want to talk and talk about this struggle. Yeah, and we will smile together. I hope everyone's. still be alive that time. We already lose some. Yeah, I hope many people still live that time.
Yeah, and how about meditation? I assume you're doing Vipassana meditation, and what role does that play in your calming process?
And it is very important for me in order to stay focused and in order to stay peaceful in my mind. Basically, I feel sometimes if I feel terrible, especially and I'm very emotional, that time I should not walk and I should not have a conversation. And it's that time it's like 15 or 20 minutes. And meditation doesn't need to be sit actually. You can walk and you can lay down. It's fine. Meditation is only focused on your body and also like breathe in and breathe out. It doesn't need to be sit and put your fingers on it doesn't need to be how to say only at the one place. The main things of the meditation is to focus your body and what's happening in your body and in your mind and in your eyes. Those everything's in your memory. So it's really helped me um, to calm down from the emotional level, and this is very helpful. It is. I do this when I am very 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 stressful and emotional. I do this when I cannot handle myself. This is that much important for me. Normally, I can when I write a poem, it's gone. But when I cannot do that with that level, then I meditate.
Right, and it sounds like in addition to using meditation as a calming principle and strategy, you're also aware of your mental states. So, because of your past practice, if you're in a situation where you just realize, "Oh, my mental state is really bad right now," and any action I do, any decision I do, because it's arising from my mental state, the action is not going to be good. So, instead of proceeding with that action, you've developed a certain amount of wisdom to be able to step away and allow that awareness of your mental state in that situation to realize that your attention and your focus needs to go elsewhere until you can be a little more balanced.
Yep, I always take care of my mental health because it is very important because I have some friends who are in the who experience mental disorders and other things like that. So I also take care of my colleagues, my friends who are working together with me. So we always have, because sometimes they have to take some operations, which is very important. So after having that operation, they are terrifying because we are civilian. We are not familiar with some job. You know, some job are very terrible, and we are not familiar with that. Then they got kind of like mental health things. So I always ask them, okay, please take a rest for 1 or 2 days. We still have to go for a lot. Please take a good enough sleep for 1 or 2 days. Please have some good food, like wine or something, as you have. Even though we are not staying at our home, we say, come on, please enjoy 1 or 2 hours. We still have to go along the way. Please turn off your phone and please, or just talk with me. We can drink wine together and we can have fun like 1 or 2 hours out of, several hours we've been doing. Come on. So those kind of like after major operation, then we are terrifying because we are civilian. We are not soldier. You know, some jobs we are not used to with that some job. We risk our life and we this our team are on ground. So yeah, this is things like that for mental
Yeah, it's
health.
beautiful. That's that in the middle of all this tension and terror and concern for safety and everything else, that you're able to make time for those better parts of life, even in those conditions of good friendship, conversation, sleep, even if you can get some good food or drink within all of that. So that's really good to hear. I want to change topics again and go into where we're at in this current movement. And when it started, you guys were doing a lot of CDM and peaceful protests, mass protests, a lot of social media sharing, and everything else. And through this time, we're recording this interview in the first week of April. It will be produced sometime after that. But through the time that we're recording, there really hasn't been much outbreak in terms of violence. It's still been these nonviolent principles have still been held for the most part. So, where do you think we're at in terms of this nonviolence, and what do you see going forward?
I'm seeing in the future there will be more violent. People have no option. People are forced to be violent now. So people have done everything they can, actually. What I can say is like, there will be, of course, civilian, they will not be violent, I can say, but they will be fully support if there is a unique who will fight for them. Very simple. So that people are now, the fighters now taking the training, and they will make their strategy and they will take their action. If I'm not wrong, May gonna be very interesting month. May gonna be very interesting. I some things that things some some kind of stuff I cannot tell now, but May gonna be very interesting month. That will start from the third week or fourth week of April. Then things will be devastating if military don't go back. If they don't go back, because there will be war in the forest, outskirts of the town, and in the town. There will be people who are with the weapon, the family of the police and family of the soldier, they will not be safe if they don't change their action. People will win. People will not be violent, but there are some people who got training. They will come back. They will come back for sure. It will start from May. Then you will see more devastating things. But it's all about like politics, and also we will fully obey the order of the CRPH and other political developments. But I can say, yeah, what I can say is more devastating things will come. Things are preparing people. People are not preparing. You will see some cars and buses. People are going, and so they're trying to uh, prepare for something bigger. You will see more people will now are going out in this month in April because people are preparing.
And what's your personal view on that? Because there are different theories from different people looking at what's happening now. And there's a theory of nonviolence, that the principles of nonviolence are extremely important to hold at all costs, that once that gets broken, it becomes much harder to gain international support, that their terror that can come back on the other side and the killing and the brutality will be much, much more severe than now. And there are voices that are continuing to call for greater adherence and commitment to nonviolent, even in these most difficult of times, not only for the pacifist ideals, but also for strategic purposes. That an argument is made, this is how conflicts of these nature can be won, is by sticking to nonviolence at all costs, and eventually that will win the day out. There are also views that the nonviolent movement has run its course, and that we're now seeing greater escalation from the military that will not back down, and gone uh, from trying to stop protests with just batons or tear gas and moving to rubber bullets and then live ammunition. And We're seeing tanks. There's been planes. There have been reports of RPGs and built-fed machine guns. So the other argument here is that the nonviolent movement has run its course, and with the escalation we're seeing on the other side, it is only going to continue and be worse and worse and worse, and that some type of resistance and standing up is very much needed at this time. These are two parallel arguments that are going on, and perhaps they're not completely black and white. Where do you stand in your views on where we're at and what needs to happen?
Sometimes people say black and white, but I believe that there is no such thing black and white. Only there are a few things black and white, but most of the areas are gray zone. What I'm trying to say is we are preparing. At the same time, we are you know we are asking international community to take action as much as possible. We don't want to die waiting support. We will be waiting. At the same time, we will be preparing. Very simple, right? We cannot die while waiting in international support. We have to prepare if we don't get it. Very simple. But we cannot wait all of our life. We have to wait until a certain point before things going to under the full military dictatorship. We have to wait until some point, and we can wait. And we ask the international community before too late to take action before too late. And we will not let it happen to be too late. We will do something before too late. That's why it's very important. If international community help us and support us, we can make it shorter. If they are taking so long, then the civil war gonna be long. It's only one or two. One, if international community support, we can make it shorter, and we will not lose so many lives, hundreds of lives. We already lose like over 500, nearly 600. It will be thousand, I can say. So, if international community support and take action very soon, then we can make it very short. If not, we will go in our way, and they're going to take long. That will be devastating. That's why we are asking, we are begging, please see our life and do something. China is totally covering the military government, this military coup. We don't live in that coup. That's why we are fighting against this. We are begging international community, please do everything as much as you can and effectively. If you help us, we can do that in a short period. If you take longer, we will lose more life, and you will see tragedy. You will see crime against humanity. You will see war crime, everything you can see. It's been 50 or 60 years. We, people in Myanmar, we will wait and beg until some point. What I'm trying to say is, anytime you can help us, but if you late taking action, there will be more people dying on ground. There will be children running under the rain, no shelter, in the forest, no internet. Even now in Myanmar, the whole country, only Wi-Fi. You can see Wi-Fi, just a few, super few people get it. Wi-Fi. The whole majority, almost all the people don't get internet. What I am trying to say, people listening this broadcast is, please. I know the international communities are good-minded and people. They are willing to help. They are doing everything they can, and we know this, and I know that. And China and Russia are trying to prevent that because they have a good relationship with the military. And China has been helping since the very beginning of their coup. We, we also ask Chinese people, Chinese people are not Chinese government, Beijing government. I have very clear vision between that. And an international community, we are now preparing. The civil war gonna come very soon. It's very sure. This time gonna be devastating. Not not the same with the past. In the past, only in the forest, civil war was happening, not in town. Even in town, not like fighting against the police and soldier in town. Now this time, they're gonna be different. There will be war in town as well.
Yeah.
That will be devastating.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
will be. And as I'm listening to this, you're speaking to mainly an international audience, not entirely. And I would venture to say that most of that international audience is entirely sympathetic and supportive of the movement that you're currently involved in and wishing for freedom to come. However, you're speaking about an international community of those who are actually in power of things to do and that have influence in being able to actually take action in some ways that probably most of our listener audience is not, unless we have a few politicians or people in legislature or somewhere else, United Nations, that happen to be listening to this. This is also why I should say we strongly encourage anyone listening, please share this with everyone in your network. Please share it as widely as possible so that this is heard by as great a number of possible. This is literally a matter of life and death and of freedom and terror. So anything that you can do for those that are listening to either contribute with a donation or to just simply share this as widely as possible in your network, especially those who would have any influence and would be connected to those with influence to be able to do something. I stress that in the highest possible terms. That being said, I want to ask you, we do have listeners on here. Most of them are simple people that are not connected to government, that are not decision makers, that are entirely sympathetic to what you're going through and want you to come out successful. And yet they're not in positions where they can do big things that would really be supportive. So, what can they do that could support you? What, if speaking to that international audience now, that are listening in their homes or perhaps driving or working out or cooking, as people often listen to podcasts, what is it that the ordinary citizen in some country, as they're listening to it, what is it that they can do to help you right now?
There are multiple options you can support technically, financially, and any other support network, things like that. For example, if you want to support for protests, you can support for protests. If you want to support for CDM, you can support for CDM. If you want to support from military training, then you can support for military training. If you want to support for the equipment we need, then you can support for equipment we need. There are so many things that we've been doing, and we know that financially, technically, and also if you want to help us, you can go through George, and George will be keep in touch with me, and we can have a conversation more in the future.
Right. Wonderful. So, as we wrap up here, we've talked about a number of things that you've experienced the last couple of months and what's been going on in your country. And yet, I'm sure we haven't covered everything because there has just been so much that has been taking place. And it's hard to communicate that reality to people that are quite a distance away. So I want to ask you, now that you have this platform, now that you have a captive audience that is listening to your views and experiences and everything else, is there anything else you want to leave that audience with? Is there anything else you want to use this platform for to make sure that you get your views or statements out?
Yeah, I would like to conclude that what I was saying, especially my perspective and my belief. When there is no future, we still trying to keep our hope. Therefore, in order to keep that hope to be alive for the better futures in Myanmar and for the light for Myanmar and for people of Myanmar. Please remember, we always need you. We always need your support. We are in danger. We are in danger. So please hear me out and also please stand up for us. I beg you, for the people of Myanmar. We want democracy. We want to live freely. We want to live without fear, without worry. I know worry means not ordinary worry. Please share this message and support us.
Well, our thoughts and our prayers and our metta are with you constantly. This platform is always available for those that are trying to share their voices to the outside world and let them know what's really happening. And you have done so today, courageously and vulnerably. And just thank you for being so open and taking the time to share, and sending all of my best wishes for your safety and your success. And thank you so much for being able to come on and talk here with
Yeah,
us.
I'm very honored and humble and appreciate for the chance, giving me the chance for this interview.
As inspiring as it was to hear today's guest, I know from experience that when you're listening from so far away, there can also be a certain kind of helplessness in hearing about the struggle that people like them are now engaged in. Thankfully, we have organized a reliable way for interested listeners to provide valuable assistance to those local communities. All donations will be sent to support the protesters currently resisting the military coup. By taking an active role in helping support the movement, you can ensure that people like today's speaker have even a few more resources to draw on and can manage even another week more in their efforts. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are resisting the military coup, we welcome your contribution in any form, currency, or transfer method. Every cent goes immediately and directly to funding those local communities who need it most. Donations go to support such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, and the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies. Or if you prefer, you can earmark your donation to go directly to the guest you just heard on today's show. In order to facilitate this donation work, we have registered a new nonprofit called Better Burma for this express purpose. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is now directed to this fund. Alternatively, you can visit our new Better Burma website, which is betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit cards. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we can take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either website for specific links to those respective accounts, or email us at info@betterburma.org. In all cases, that's Better Burma, one word, spelled BETTERBURMA. If you would like to give in another way, please contact us. Thank you so much for your kind consideration. You've been listening to the Insight Myanmar podcast. We'd appreciate it very much if you could rate, review, and/or share this podcast. Every little bit of feedback helps. You can also subscribe to the Insight Myanmar podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you get your podcasts to make sure you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. If you can't find our feed on your podcast player, please just let us know and we'll ensure it can be offered there in the future. Also, make sure to check out our website for a list of our complete episodes, including additional text, videos, and other information available at insightmyanmar.org. And I also invite you to take a look at our new nonprofit organization at betterburma.org. There was certainly a lot to talk about in this episode, and we'd like to encourage listeners to keep the discussion going. Make a post, request specific questions, and join in on discussions currently going on the Insight Myanmar podcast Facebook group. You're also most welcome to follow our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts by the same name. If you're not on social media, feel free to message us directly at info@insightmyanmar.org. Or if you'd like to start up a discussion group on another platform, let us know, and we can share that forum here. Finally, we're open to suggestions about guests or topics for future episodes. So if you have someone or something in mind, please do be in touch. We would like to take this time to thank everyone who made this podcast possible. Currently, our team consists of 2 sound engineers, Mike Bink and Martin Combs. There's of course Zach Hessler, content collaborator and part-time co-host. Ken Pransky helps with editing, and a special Mongolian volunteer who is asked to remain anonymous does our social media templates. In light of the ongoing crisis in Myanmar, a number of volunteers have stepped in to lend a hand as well, and so we'd like to take this time to appreciate their effort in our time of need. And we're always on the lookout for more volunteers during this critical time, so if you'd like to contribute, definitely let us know. We'd also like to thank everyone who has assisted us in arranging for the guests we've interviewed so far. And of course, we send a big thank you to the guests themselves for agreeing to come on and share such personal, powerful stories. Finally, we're immensely grateful for the donors who made this entire thing possible. We want to remind our listeners that the opinions expressed by our guests are their own and don't necessarily reflect the host or other podcast contributors. Please also note that as we are mainly a volunteer team, we do not have the capacity to fact-check our guest interviews. By virtue of being invited on our show, there's a trust that they will be truthful and not misrepresent themselves or others. If you have any concerns about the statements made on this or other shows, please contact us. This recording is the exclusive right of Insight Myanmar Podcast and may not be used without the expressed written permission of the podcast owner, which includes video, audio, written transcripts, or excerpts of any episodes. Also not meant to be used for commercial purposes. On the other hand, we're very open to collaboration. So if you have a particular idea in mind for sharing any of our podcasts or podcast-related information, please feel free to contact us with your proposal. If you would like to support our mission, we welcome your contribution. During this time of crisis, all donations now go towards supporting the protest movement in Myanmar through our new nonprofit, Better Burma. You may give by searching Better Burma on PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, GoFundMe, and Patreon, as well as via credit card at betterburma.org/donation. You can also give right on our Insight Myanmar website, as all donations given there are directed towards the same fund. And with that, we're off to work on the next show, so see you next episode.